Hi everybody, welcome to day 3 of week 2 of our unit, Engaging with Our Community. Before we start, let's review what the flow of today's session will be. First, you'll have an opening and do now activity with a see, think, and wonder exercise. Then there will be a before reading activity. Teachers, this activity will take these 2 slides. Students, you'll be dragging these issues into categories based on if you think they're very important, somewhat important, or not important, based on your opinion. Teachers, note that before you go into the text, you will go over the purpose for today and also the academic vocabulary here on the bottom of the before reading page. Then you'll have your into the text moment. You'll have a link to the text here. On this document, you'll have some guiding questions, and don't forget you also have your discussion questions on this side of the page. And teachers, know that on this slide in your notes, you're going to have your teacher's guide linked in case you want some specific instructions for facilitating. Then we will facilitate in this video the after the reading activity, and then there will be a closing and connecting. Teachers, today is a day where you can choose whichever of the closing and connecting activities works best for you and for your students. And always remember that below the slides, you may have some notes for teachers here where you can find some additional tips and suggestions for how to implement the lesson. So let's go ahead and get started for today. So we are on day 3 of week 2 with our unit, Engaging with Our Community. And our essential question for today is the same as it's been all week. How can where we live affect our health? We're going to be looking again today at the community health profiles. At this point, can somebody please read out loud our lesson objectives that are in the pink box? Teachers, you can pause this video and give students some time to read those lesson objectives. Thank you for reading our lesson objectives out loud. We have 2 for today. Our first lesson objective is to acquire and accurately use academic and content-specific words and phrases. So we're using new vocabulary in English in our speaking and in our writing today. Our second lesson objective is to summarize key ideas and details in a text. We are looking at the community health profiles, so we're going to take the most important information from those community health profiles and use that also in our speaking and our writing. Teachers, at this point, you can facilitate the opening, before reading, and into the text activities. And when you pick this video back up, we will be facilitating the after the reading. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed reading the community health profile and learning more about the Lower East Side and Chinatown. What we're going to do for the after reading activity is first think back about the issues that you sorted into categories for the before reading, into not important, somewhat important, and very important. And after reading, do you still feel the same way about the issue? If you need to, you can go back and revise or change your choices, and then we'll do the task below. Teachers, you can pause right now and give students a moment to reflect and discuss if they want to change any of their choices from the before reading activity. Okay, so now that we've thought about that, let's start on the writing task for today. So our task is to select one of the issues that we think is very important. Then we're going to write a paragraph explaining why we think that issue is important. We're going to do this in multiple steps together. The first step is to choose our issue. So here are the issues that we use in our before reading activity. And I think I'm going to choose the issue of bicycle network coverage. So that's what I think is very important for the neighborhood of Chinatown and the Lower East Side. And I'm going to write my paragraph explaining why that's important. So now let's do the steps for our writing task. So our first step is to write to identify what the important issue is, and we can use this sentence stem. Blank is an especially important issue in my opinion. And then here's an example. Bicycle network coverage is an especially important issue in my opinion. So now, teachers, you can pause this video, and students, you can write your statement identifying what your important issue is for Chinatown and the Lower East Side. Teachers, you can have students do this on a Google Doc or wherever it makes sense for them to keep their writing. Okay, let's move to the next step of our writing. So now that we've identified our important issue, we're going to use some information from the community health profile. So we can start to introduce this information with the sentence starter here. According to the New York City Community Health Profiles from 2018, and then we're going to go back to our community health profile and think, what information do we see about our issue in that profile? And I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. So as you can see, I've gone back to my Into the Text slide, and I know that this link will take me to that community health profile. I'll open that up, and then I'm going to find my issue, which is bicycle network coverage. I'll zoom in, and I see already some important information. Right here it says 37% of roads in the Lower East Side and Chinatown have bike lanes, which is higher than New York City overall. I see that statistic here again, 37% of the streets have bike lanes. So I'm going to use that important information in my writing. So I've come back to my writing task. I now have my sentence starter here, and I have my information that I just got from my community health profile. So here's what I might write next. According to the New York City Community Health Profiles from 2018, only 37% of the streets in the Lower East Side and Chinatown have bicycle lane coverage. Again, that's information I got from the community health profile. So at this moment, we'll pause the video. You can take some time, students, to look back at the community health profile and find that important information that's related to your issue that you think is important. Let's move on to our next step in our writing. So now that we've identified the issue and we found some important information and statistics, we're going to start to explain why this issue is important. We might use a sentence starter such as, this is very important because, and here are some vocabulary words and phrases that you might use to help you explain your thinking. You don't have to use these, but if you get stuck, they might be helpful. Safer, healthier, more comfortable, more dangerous, less healthy, less comfortable, positive effect, negative effect. I'm going to show you another place where you can look to get some ideas. So if you go back to the community health profile, on some of the sections, they're going to have statements about why this issue might be important. For example, for here it says, access to bike lanes can make it easier and safer to ride a bike more often. I also see here that they say having less bike lanes is less healthy, and having more bike lanes is more healthy. So now I'm getting an idea of why exactly this is important. So let's go back to our writing task and start to write those ideas out. So now we're back to our writing task, and I'm going to start to write my explanation. Why is this important? This is very important because bicycle lanes make it safer for riders to travel to work and other places. So at this point, we'll pause, and you'll have some time to write your own explanations of why this issue is important for Chinatown and the Lower East Side. And if it's helpful, you can look back at the community health profile to see if they have any statements about why this is important. Okay, let's move on to the last part of our writing task. So now that we've identified our issue, used information, and explained why it's important, we're going to say what action we think we should take. And we're going to use this sentence starter. Therefore, we need to. Again, we have some vocabulary here to help us explain our thinking. Increase, decrease, protect, provide, help, advocate for. So I might write something like this to say what action we should take that has to do with bicycle lanes. Therefore, we need to increase bicycle lane coverage in the Lower East Side and Chinatown to keep people safe and make the city's environment cleaner. So we'll pause again and you'll do the last step of your writing, explaining what you think we should do to improve the neighborhood conditions for the Lower East Side and Chinatown. Okay, thank you. That concludes our after the reading activity. Teachers, at this point, you can start to facilitate the closing and connecting activity. And I just wanted to point to you quickly. One suggestion is to, again, collect the notes for the closing and connecting in one document so students can see the progression of the activities over time. Thank you, and we'll see you for the next session.